demonstrators to keep peace. Group frowns at unprovoked eviction of Northerners. Adamawa State Governor declares 24-hour curfew. Naiti demands specification of gas policy. ECOWAS orders reinstatement of President Bazoum. Charlie Boy cautions Asari Dokubo over terrorist gangs. Benzina wears hijab at Women's World Cup. Thank you for joining us on the Global News tonight. Here is our bulletin in full. Managing Director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Dr. Samuel Obuku, has charged leaders of Niger Delta ex-agitators and stakeholders to ensure that the reigning peace in the region is sustained to attract investors. Obuku, who disclosed this during a courtesy visit by the leaders and members of the Phase 1, 2, and 3 ex-agitators of the Niger Delta Amnesty Program at the NDDC headquarters in Port Harcourt. The NDDC boss commended their ex-agitators for playing their role as critical stakeholders to enthrone peace, adding that peace in the Niger Delta region is critical to attracting continuous investment in the region, and such investment will create employment opportunities for the people of the region. He also said the administration of the President Bola Tinubu was aware of the challenges facing the people of the Niger Delta and was prepared to bring positive changes, stressing that the Commission is focused in ensuring the sustainability of its public-private partnership scheme to ensure a win-win for everyone. The delegation of ex-agitators was led by His Royal Highness Henry bin Doga, AKs for Phase 1 ex-agitators, General Olotu Wanemi for Phase 2 ex-agitators, and Honorable Tonye Bobo for Phase 3 ex-agitators. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has ordered the investigation of the spending details of over 200 billion naira public funds collected by the government of former Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa from the Universal Basic Education Commission Fund and allocations for the Federation accounts. The court ordered the Delta State Governor Sheriff February to disclose details of budgetary allocations and actual spending by the Okowa government between 2015 and 2019, including specific projects carried out to improve primary education in Delta State and the locations of such projects. The judgment was delivered by Honorable Justice Daniel Osiago following the Freedom of Information suit brought by Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project. In his judgment, Justice Osiago held that SERAP has a cognizable legal right to inquire into the way and manner public institutions manage public funds, adding that every citizen has a duty to demand transparency and accountability in governance of public institutions. Justice Osiago ordered the government to disclose details of the primary schools that have benefited from the projects carried out on access to free and quality primary education in Delta State, and information on indirect costs including uniforms, exercise books, and transport costs to students and their parents. Obetim Uno community in Ndokwa East local government area of Delta State has called on the state government to come to its aid over incessant attacks by herdsmen on farms and farmlands in the area. The people of the community also appealed to the state government for urgent intervention to save them from imminent hunger and loss of lives. A statement by the apex body Obetim National Council signed by its president, Chief Sani Neme, Secretary Chief Hope Osanebi, and the community women leader Mrs. Blessing Odili confirmed that over 300 farms and crops of the people of Obetim, worth over 100 million, have been destroyed by the marauding herdsmen. He expressed concern that the entire community, being an agrarian space, has nothing else to live on but farm produce and is currently helpless. Police in Edo State has arrested former banker Gift Ibinosun for allegedly defrauding John Nnamdi and Obasogi Osagie-Dua of over 14.9 million naira. Spokesperson in the state, Chidunwabuzo, said the suspect, who was sacked by her employer, a commercial bank, 2 years ago, defrauded the victims under the pretense of helping them to get new notes. He also said the suspect was arrested on July 20th by operatives attached to the state's Intelligence Bureau while acting on a complaint of alleged impersonation, conspiracy, advance fee fraud, obtaining money by false pretense, fraudulent conversion, and stealing reported by the victims. Wabuzo said investigation had been concluded and the suspect would be charged to court. Pan Niger Delta Forum is urging the federal government to promote investment in modular refineries and the ongoing reforms in the energy sector. This is coming after its expanded National Executive Council meeting in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital, with some far-reaching resolutions to douse tension in the polity and worried occasioned by the prevailing hardship in the country. National Chairman of PANDEF, Senator Emmanuel Ibok Essien, with the endorsement of the national leader, Chief Edwin Clark, who sent a goodwill message delivered by Ambassador Godsnow Igali, expressing delight at the quality of leadership being provided by the national chairman and his executives, and further encouraged the NEC members to remain steadfast and resolute in the pursuit of the objectives of the forum as well as the shared interests of the region. The communique at the end of the meeting signed by the PANDEF chairman congratulated President Bola Tinubu and the Senate President Chief Godswill Akpabio on their emergence as leaders of Nigeria and expressed confidence in their ability to get the country out of the woods by addressing the current social, economic and security challenges facing the nation. The forum therefore stressed the need for a holistic action plan towards fixing Nigeria, noting that the energy sector holds the key in repositioning the country, and urged the federal government to revisit the idea of investing massively in the modular refinery project with a view to liberalizing the sector for optimum productivity. Governor Umar Eno of Akwa Ibom State says he returned all of former Governor Udom Emmanuel's commissioners because police in Imo State has foiled a robbery attack in the Ikenebu area of Owerri, the state capital. Eyewitness said the armed robbers stormed the gold shop Goldwise Wisdom Gold stores in Owerri, and on arrival in a white pickup van, the criminals wore military uniforms and were heavily armed and moved into the shop and stole items worth millions of naira and were said to be on their way out before a policeman who accompanied an unidentified personality to have his lunch at a nearby eatery suspected foul play and opened fire on them. The five-man gang immediately returned the fire and started shooting indiscriminately, causing people to close their shops and run for their lives. The policeman's bullets cut the driver of the gang and he died instantly, while his gang member quickly disembarked from the Hilux van and started running while shooting in the air. Commissioner of Police has urged his men to sustain the tempo in the ongoing crusade against all forms of crime and criminality in the state. Coalition of Northern Group says it is not happy over what it described as the unprovoked eviction of Northerners by officials of the Imo State government. The spokesperson of the group, Suleiman Abdulaziz Suleiman, said in a statement that it has taken stock of events unfolding in Imo State in the past 2 days, with alleged clear orders to destroy, demolish, burn every structure and assets belonging to the peaceful Northern settlers. Abdulaziz noted the latest organized arson in Imo State left in its wake thousands of shops and houses completely burned, properties worth billions of naira destroyed and looted, while thousands of Northerners living and conducting their legitimate businesses were forcefully ejected, displaced and deprived. Suleiman said the arsonists sacked naked number 1 and completely destroyed 1,300 shops and houses, with the over 2,500 inhabitants displaced, dispossessed and run out of legitimate businesses. To this end, the Northern Group condemned the targeting of northern communities in Imo State for vilification, systemic dehumanization, profiling, alienation or any action that would render them object of attack and prosecution, adding that the action was not only immoral and illegal but also abhorrent to our sensibilities and ordinary decencies and therefore unacceptable. Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Charles Soludo has terminated the contract with Tech Engineering Nigeria Limited before the contractor handling the rehabilitation of the Niger Street Road project in Onitsha, the commercial city of the state. The governor terminated the 2.17-kilometer Niger Street Road Fege with a 1.1-kilometer flood control channel contract when he paid an inspection visit to the project and discovered the contractor was not delivering according to the timelines and agreements reached before the contract was awarded. He accused the contractors of negligence and lack of capacity to deliver the job, adding that another contractor will be engaged to execute the job, and reiterated that the street trading has been banned in the state as new markets are being built where street traders can stay and trade. The governor also inspected Ose Market, Bida Road, Emodi Street, Duibo, Ochanja Market, Fege, Onitsha South Stadium, and Creek Road in Onitsha, and promised that street lights will be installed on the roads and all drainages will be cleared to enable free flow of water all the way to the River Niger. Governor Soludo also pointed out that Onitsha South Stadium will be renovated into an urban entertainment, leisure, recreational center which will be family friendly, adding that the framework will be created by the State Sports Development Commission and the major South local government will synergize to actualize the plan. Pan-Igbo Socio-Cultural Organization Ohanaeze Ndigbo in Enugu State has declared total support to the cancellation of Sit at Home by the state government. The weekly Sit at Home was enforced by a faction of the indigenous people of Biafra led by Finland-based Simon Ekpa, who styled himself as the Biafran Prime Minister. The group is imposing Sit at Home as a way of calling for the release of their leader Nnamdi Kanu, who is being detained by Nigeria's Secret Police, the Department of State Services. A statement signed by Enugu State Branch President of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Professor Fred O. Eze, in Enugu, the group applauded the courage of the state governor, Barrister Peter Mba, in taking the bold step to put an end to the scourge of Sit at Home in Enugu State. Ohanaeze recorded that before the cancellation by the government, Enugu State became overwhelmed by a climate of fear such that people could not go about their businesses with confidence, adding that the Sit at Home order is self-immolating and has disrupted all productive assets and resources in the state since its introduction and enforcement. Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State has urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu led federal government and security operatives to extradite Finland-based The Lagos State Safety Commission says it will shut down nightclubs following the increase in use of drugs and firearms in nightclubs in the state. Director General of the Commission, Mr. Landre Mojola, who spoke at a meeting with nightclubs owners, which also had officials of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in attendance, warned that the state government had zero tolerance for the use of drugs and firearms at nightclubs, which he said had become major cause for concern and would henceforth shut down such clubs. A statement by the Commission spokesperson, Mrs. Adewumi Okod, lamented the use of hard drugs and firearms had become rampant in several nightclubs across Lagos State and would collaborate with relevant authorities to stop such proliferation while decrying the presence of underage in many nightclubs in the state, saying that it was against the law to allow such manners, adding that lots of nightclub frontages had been turned to drug sales outlets, saying there was no need for concerned nightclubs to address such ugly development. The DG also called on nightclub owners to take responsibility and form an association to better tackle the issues of drug and firearms usage in clubs, adding that no security detail should be allowed to carry firearms and urge officials of the NDLA and the Nigerian police would start regular visits to nightclubs in the state and shut down erring ones found flouting the order. Also speaking, the staff officer in charge of Operations Lagos State Command, the Superintendent of Narcotics, Maijama Abdullahi, lamented that drugs were being used in most nightclubs from his findings after undergoing a secret tour of some nightclubs in the state. The Lagos State government, through its Consumer Protection Agency, has warned filling station owners from contravening the consumer rights law. Mr. Falabi Solebo, the General Manager, Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency, who gave the warning, In a statement in Lagos, warned fuel attendants and business owners to desist from all forms of extra charges arising from the use of point-of-sale machines for transactions. He also said the warning became imperative due to the several complaints received from consumers about illegal charges by some business outlets, especially filling stations. Soleno noted with dismay the sad occurrence where consumers were charged extra costs for payment made through POS machines from the purchase of petroleum motor spirit by operators of some filling stations in Lagos State, and some owners of small and medium enterprises and one business owners and operators of filling stations, including attendants, to desist from charging extra costs on payments made through the POS. Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani is calling on the Governorship Tribunal to terminate the petition of the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Mohammed Ashiru Isa against his election. This is coming after the tribunal set aside to hear the latest motion by the governor's legal team led by former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Chief Bayo Ojo to end proceedings in the petition based on the latest pronouncement of the Court of Appeal. Governor Sani urges the court to apply the principle of stay decisis, a Latin term that means let the decision stand, or to stand by things decided, makes it compelling for lower courts to line behind the decisions of superior courts, adding that decisions of the two appellate courts, Court of Appeal and Supreme Court, are binding on election petition tribunals where facts in cases are similar. Sani is calling for an end to the last petition standing against his victory by pointing to the July 18, 2023 judgment of the Court of Appeal in the case of the All Progressive Congress against Enugu State Governor Peter Mba, knocked off at the preliminary stage due to a fatal error by the petitioners in applying for the crucial pre-hearing notice. He noted that the Supreme Court had held in many instances that either premature or late filing of the all-important notice would deem the petition abandoned and terminable. 4 women abducted by bandits in Zamfara State 6 months ago have regained freedom. This is coming after the bandits abducted the 4 women 6 months ago and threatened to forcefully marry them off if they fail to pay 12 million naira ransom. Speaking on the release, a mother to one of the girls who preferred anonymity said the women were released by bandits and were currently under the care of the security agents to receive medical treatment. She maintained that the victims were yet to be reunited with the families. Spokesperson of the State Police Command, SP Yazid Abubakar, is yet to make any statements on the matter. Adamawa State Governor Amadu Fintri has imposed a 24-hour curfew on residents of the state. This is coming following the escalating attacks of hoodlums breaking into warehouses and carting away foodstuffs and other valuables. Fintri, on his verified Twitter handle, said the government took the action as a precaution to prevent the escalating violence by hoodlums attacking people and businesses. You recall that in 2020, there was similar looting of a government-owned warehouse at Kwana Waya by angry residents who later broke into the central stores located at Bakin Kogi and looted food items. The governor said the 24-hour curfew in Adamawa State is with immediate effect, adding that no movement is allowed except for essential duties with valid ID. Police in Bauchi State have arrested a suspect who allegedly removed the hand of a 25-year-old man and stabbed him on the head. The police public relations officer in the state, Ahmed Wakil, in a statement said the suspect had been on the command's wanted list for 2 years over thuggery and causing grievous harm, adding that the suspect committed the crime with 2 others still at large. He noted that his luck ran out when a police patrol team raided a black spot at a suburb of Bauchi Metropolis and arrested him, adding that investigation revealed that the suspects committed the alleged offense during interrogation. Police in Sokoto State has condemned the attack by bandits on an immigration checkpoint. This is coming after the bandits' attack on the checkpoint in the Gwadabawa area of the state. The spokesman of the command, ASP Ahmad Rufai, Rufai, who confirmed the incident, said gunmen suspected to be bandits attacked the Maman Suka village checkpoint of the Guadabawa local government area and killed 2 immigration officers, adding that 5 rifles were recorded by the immigration officers from the gunmen and were currently at the immigration headquarters office in the state. While confirming the attack, the public relations officer of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Ilela Border Command, Bello Mohammed, said some of the victims are currently in the hospital. The Kano State government says it has activated contact tracing teams to track patients affected by the diphtheria outbreak in the state. This is coming after more than 100 patients are on admission to hospital admission, while over 2,000 others have been treated and discharged. The state epidemiologist, Dr. Abdullahi Karun Mata, who made disclosure while updating issues on outbreak in the state, said the teams have been deployed to the nooks and crannies of the state, especially in high-burden the local government area. According to Dr. Karun Mata, the diphtheria cases have been reported in 31 out of 44 LGAs in the state, adding that it has constituted 2 centers for the treatment of patients infected with diphtheria. The resurgence of diphtheria, according to him, may be linked to the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, which resulted in a lockdown and disruption of routine immunization, leaving many children unimmunized. On the other hand, due to the conduct of some parents or caregivers who are hesitant to take their words for immunization. The Nigeria Labour Congress has advised citizens to stock their homes with food You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Carries the rest of our stories. Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, Honorable Kenga Imo Ugochinyere Ikegbuono, has thanked the Speaker, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, over his choice of Honorable Ibori Swenu and Jafaru Leko as Chairman, Deputy Chairman of the House Committee on Niger Delta Development Commission, respectively. Ugochinyere, who represents Delta North South Federal Constituency of Imo State, in statement expressed optimism that the committee members will work towards ensuring that the Interventionist Commission under their oversight will realize its full potential and vision. He also said NDDC is a federal agency established to foster sustainable development in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria, adding that the agency is dedicated to making the region a better place for its people and empowering them to enjoy its wealth. And here is the business news for tonight. Nigeria's Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative says the federal government should specify the roles of state, non-state actors and investors in the national gas policy in order to deepen the use of gas nationwide. NATI, an agency of the federal government with the mandate to ensure accountability in the oil and gas and the mining sectors, said it had been disclosing information and data as well as made copious recommendations in its annual industry report on how to better the lot of Nigeria in the extractive industries. Executive Secretary Nati Obonnaya Orji, who disclosed this in a presentation delivered during an economic agenda setting program in Abuja, said the agency has presented these recommendations to the President for his policy interventions and advised the federal government to develop and publish a detailed and comprehensive gas policy with clear roles for state, non-state actors and investors, adding that the deliberate attention should be paid to reforms in Nigeria's solid minerals sector. He further noted that the journey towards a prosperous Nigeria required stringent sanction for criminal activities, especially in the extractive sector. The Central Bank of Nigeria says it has achieved a 64.1% financial inclusion and also targeting 95% inclusion by 2024. The Assistant Director of Financial Development of CBN, Paul Oluikwe, who disclosed this in Lagos, said CBN had crashed the Know Your Customer service by commercial banks into different tiers. According to him, some of those tiers required a very minimum identity, so it removes some of the bottlenecks and bureaucracies that you have in terms of acquiring financial products and services, signing up, and adding that what the CBN was doing was to coordinate the industry and impress upon its stakeholders that it needed speed. Oluikwe said to ensure financial inclusion, the Apex Bank also created awareness by using campaigns and also bringing stakeholders together. Petroleum engineers say crude oil exports will continue to dwindle until the federal government addresses security of pipelines. Chairman, the Society of Petroleum Engineers Nigerian Council, Felix Obike, who disclosed this while speaking on the upcoming 2023 SPE conference to hold in Lagos, said many oil firms were no longer transporting their oil for export. He noted that the SPE Nigeria Council is a Nigeria arm of the Society of Petroleum Engineers International, a not-for-profit professional organization with about 119,000 members worldwide, and the vision is to advance the oil and gas producing and related energy communities' ability to meet the world's energy needs in a safe, secure, and sustainable manner. You're still watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Up next, international tidbits. Heads of state and government of ECOWAS is calling for the immediate release and reinstatement of President Mohamed Bazoum as the legitimate head of state and government of the Republic of Niger. A communique issued at the end of the extraordinary summit on socio-political situation in the Republic of Niger, read by the President, ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Omar Toure. The leaders also rejected any form of purported resignation by President Bazoum and declared him as the only recognized and elected president by ECOWAS, the African Union, and the international community. The leaders expressed strong condemnation of the attempted overthrow of constitutional order in Niger and the illegal detention of President Bazoum, as well as members of his family and government. They demanded full restoration of constitutional order in the Republic of Niger and considered the illegal detention of President Mohamed Bazoum as a hostage situation, holding the authors of the attempted coup d'etat solely and fully responsible for his safety and security and that of his family and government. In the event, ECOWAS, if demands are not met within 1 week, The leader said they would take all measures necessary to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. ECOWAS leaders also condemned the pronouncement of support by foreign governments and foreign private military contractors, while expressing appreciation to various governments and partners for their stance and solidarity. A statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Dele Aleke, said the summit hosted by President Tinubu in his capacity as the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government also agreed to appoint and dispatch a special representative to deliver the demands of the authority. In response to the coup attempt, the summit announced immediate sanctions on Niger, including the closure of land and air borders between ECOWAS countries and Niger, establishing a no-fly zone on a commercial flight to and from Niger, and suspending all commercial and financial transactions between ECOWAS members states and Niger, adding that assets of the Republic of Niger in ECOWAS Central Bank, Niger State Enterprises, and parastatals in commercial banks will be frozen, and Niger will also be suspended from all financial assistance and transactions with financial institutions within ECOWAS. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation has condemned last Wednesday's military coup that ousted President Mohamed Bazoum of Niger Republic. Hussein Ibrahim Taha, the OIC Secretary General, condemned any attempt to seize power by force and called for the immediate release of Bazoum and the restoration of the rule of law in Niger, it added. He also expressed his solidarity with the people of Niger and the OIC's full support for the regional efforts made toward restoring peace, stability and security and stability to Niger, as well as to the entire Sahel region. This is coming after soldiers in Niger had overthrown Bazoum, the democratically elected president, Niger's defense and security forces, in a broadcast on national television last Wednesday, hours after the president was supposedly held hostage. Bazoum had been in detention since the early hours of Wednesday when the soldiers first attempted the coup. Explosion has incidentally killed 35 people in Pakistan during a rally organized by an Islamist party. At least 200 people were also injured in the explosion in northwest Bajaur district, where Jamiat Ulema el-Islam Fazl was holding a meeting and authorities had cordoned off the area. A rescue operation to assist the injured is ongoing, and police have not yet confirmed the cause of the blast. Russian President Vladimir Putin has accepted the idea of peace talks on Ukraine. Speaking after meeting African leaders in St. Petersburg, Putin said African and Chinese initiatives could serve as a basis for finding peace. He also said there could be no ceasefire while the Ukrainian army was on the offensive. In the hours after he spoke, Russian president said the Russian president said a Ukrainian drone attack on Moscow had damaged 2 office blocks, while flights were briefly suspended from Vnukovo airport southwest of the city center, and 1 person was injured. This is coming after in Ukraine, the northeastern Ukrainian city of Sumy was hit by rockets, killing 1 person and injuring 5 others. The country's interior ministry adding that a Russian missile hit an educational establishment. And here is entertainment news for tonight. Veteran Nigerian entertainer Charles Oputa, popularly known as Charlie Boy, has cautioned former Niger Delta militant Asari Dokubo as local vigilantes allegedly overpower his Islamic militia in Anambra State. This is coming after Dokubo had warned enemies of President Tinubu to stay away from him because anyone who plans his downfall has failed already, adding that Dokubo gave the warning while addressing his gang members, about 300 militants, after his return from a pilgrimage to Mecca. In a viral video, the militant leader said he and his comrades are working for the president and anyone seeking his downfall will be smashed. Charlie Boy in his Instagram page shared a cartoon of Dokubo vowing to protect President Tinubu while describing the ex-militant as an overbloated, obsessed. He alleged that Anambra youth resisted and captured the fake Biafrans and forcing it at home across the southeast states. Just before we leave the segment news, a very big congratulations to Davido and his wife on the delivery of their bouncing baby boy. And here is the sports news for tonight. Super Falcons defender Ashley Plumter says the team's defeat of co-host Australia at the ongoing Women's World Cup is one of the highlights of her career, adding that Moroccan defender Nouhaila Benzina has become the first football player to wear hijab at the ongoing Women's World Cup in Australia. Benzina, age 25, wore the Islamic headscarf as she made her first appearance at the tournament when her side upset South Korea in a 1-0 win on Sunday. This is coming after the football's world governing body FIFA authorized the wearing of head covers for religious purposes during matches in 2014, adding that it will allow female Muslim players who wear a hijab in everyday life to cover their heads while matches are their heads during matches as well. And that's the size of the global news for tonight. But before we go, here is another look at the major stories. NDC boss wants ex-agitators to keep peace. Group frowns at unprovoked eviction of northerners. Adamawa State Governor declares 24-hour curfew. NAIT demands a specification of gas policy. ECOWAS orders reinstatement of President Bazoum. Charlie Boy cautions Asari Dokubo over terrorist gangs. Benzina wears hijab at the Women's World Cup. I'm Vivian Douglas. Thank you for joining us. You can follow us on our social media platforms. On Twitter, we're Atlantic TV Net. On Facebook and YouTube, we're Atlantic Television Network. On Instagram and TikTok, we're Atlantic TV Network 1. Do remember that peace and unity are the pathway to